E-scooter-related accidents are on the rise. Now USC safety teams are offering tips on how students can stay safe.
A Los Angeles nonprofit is partnering with the Super Bowl for a day of service in the Los Angeles community.
And the nominations are in. We take a look at the actors and filmmakers who could make history at the Oscars this year.
Annenberg TV News is next.
To have more LAPD officers on the streets. Good evening, I'm Tatum Larson.
And I'm Jacob Wheeler. Congresswoman Karen Bass is taking some heat over her proposal to put more police officers on the streets of Los Angeles. The candidate for LA mayor says the people of LA, quote, don't feel safe. If elected, Bass plans to increase the number of patrol officers to 9,700. She's proposing a crackdown on illegal firearms and calling for more specialized detectives. Bass says her goal is to, quote, end harmful police practices. But some activists argue her plan is nothing new.
It's really disappointing that given Bass's own history, who was a leading voice in the anti-apartheid movement in Los Angeles back about 40 years ago or so, what we're going to see is more police powers, more expansion of police, more surveillance, more violence on communities, and a very coercive relationship with the community in the form of community safety partnerships.
Two other candidates for mayor, Councilman Joy Buscaino and City Attorney Mike Fewer, have also called for an increase in police personnel. The pool of candidates running for mayor is shrinking tonight. Downtown business leader and USC alum Jessica Hall has ended her campaign. Law said she hoped to inspire young women and encourage her supporters to not feel defeated.
I have always believed that the mark of a good leader is to be brave enough to step in, but wise enough to know when to step back. With that in mind, I have decided that it is my time to exit the LA mayor's race.
The deadline to file papers to run for mayor of LA is this Saturday. Billionaire developer and USC Board of Trustee Rick Caruso has not announced whether he will run.
The UC school system has agreed to pay $246 million to the victims of former UCLA gynecologist Dr. James Heaps. Heaps was known as a trusted doctor for more than 27 years until more than 200 victims came forward with reports of sexual abuse. The complaints date back to 1983 to 2018. Investigations into allegations made against Heaps began in 2017, but UC administrators acknowledged they began receiving complaints in the 90s. Heaps retired from UCLA in 2018 and was arrested on charges of sexual battery in 2019. The former UCLA doctor faces 21 felony charges, including sexual battery and exploitation, and a possible 67-year sentence. The settlement is comparable to the USC George Tyndall case. The university paid out $852 million to 700 women. In a statement announcing the settlement, UCLA said the conduct alleged to have been committed by Heaps is reprehensible and contrary to the university's values. We admire the courage of the plaintiffs in coming forward. California lawmakers just passed a bill to pay workers who contract COVID-19. This new law will apply to those who become sick from the coronavirus in any time this year from January 1st to September 30th. Reporter Sade Moore talked to business owners and employees.
Businesses here on Figueroa have bravely continued to function through this pandemic and have imposed protocols trying to keep customers protected. But who protects the essential workers? On Monday, California lawmakers passed a bill that workers will be paid up to 2 weeks of leave after contacting COVID-19. For restaurant owner Moisash, this is a relief.
It helps because government is going to pay for their sickness, and they're going to pay it because they're not their fault that they get sick. They have to spend money even though they're sick. This is very good help from government.
This bill applies to all workers in California, even right here at USC.
I see this more as like reparations that we're being provided for, because this sort of thing should have been, first of all, controlled way earlier, that a bill like this shouldn't need to happen.
And although esthetician Simona Somerville has not missed work due to COVID, she now has less anxiety about getting sick.
Just knowing that there's some kind of support out there to help if I were to be put in that situation is a great relief. Like, it makes me feel a lot better to know that I wouldn't just be completely out of luck with no way to provide for my family if I were to get sick.
Lawmakers also believe paid sick leave will help stop the spread. For Annenberg Media, Sade Moore.
USC Safety is fighting to keep students safe as e-scooter accidents are on the rise. Annenberg Media's Krissa Lucas reports on today's Safety Days event with some tips on how to be careful on the road.
Every weekday, students are hopping on their skateboards, scooters, and bikes to make it to class on time. But crowded crosswalks can be a safety risk. The Department of Public Safety says e-scooter related accidents have increased in the past few years.
We just want our students to, again, be mindful of their safety, other people's safety, and the responsibility that comes with ridership of e-scooters and bicycles as well.
USC safety experts, along with Lyft, kicked off a 2-day event offering students safety tips. Some of the tips are for motorized vehicles to ride on the designated bike lanes, dismount and walk the crosswalk, and stop at the red lights.
That kind of seems annoying to get off the bike for every crosswalk, but yeah, I guess it's good to know.
Many students have come to depend on scooters.
I think this campus is really huge, so it's very convenient to have one.
Because, you know, having a scooter almost on every single part of the sidewalk on campus is very convenient for me, because I will be able to have quick access to transportation.
In addition to getting safety tips, students are also having some fun and posing with Tommy Trojan.
At the USC Safety event today, students come here and they win free helmets, they spin the wheel, they look at what color they win, lights, they get a light, thank you, and off they go for their classes and deadlines.
One more tip for those riding scooters. DPS says to ride in the same direction of traffic. For Annenberg Media, I'm Krissa Lucas.
The LA Rams are hard at work gearing up for the Super Bowl on Sunday, but today the team took some time to give back to a local nonprofit. Volunteers built over 50 garden walls and planted vegetables for a place called home. The organization focuses on youth and community development. The director of NFL's environmental team said their mission is to positively impact the Super Bowl's host city through their yearly day of service.
So we look at the green legacy of Super Bowl as one of the permanent leave behinds. The game comes and goes, a lot of the celebration and parties come and go, and they're important. I mean, that's why we're here. But what can we do so that when we come back in a few years, we can look and still see something that the NFL did with all of its partners, local and sponsorship partners and others, that made a difference in these communities, just like what's happening here today.
Since this is Super Bowl 56, volunteers created 56 vertical gardens. They also donated gardening supplies to the community. A place called home plans to give those materials to local families who are struggling with food insecurity. The nonprofit says they are excited to partner with the Rams ahead of Sunday's big game. Next on Annenberg TV News, why international leaders are boycotting the Winter Olympics.
Students can now join campus organizations during this semester's involvement fair.
And what is a champion? A USC student is hoping to be the answer at the Jeopardy National College Championship.
Worried your friend's struggling but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could write them a text or knit them a sweater. If you can't be together, you could write them a letter. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You could ask on your couch while you binge watch. However you do it, you gotta ask a friend. And if they don't share, you can ask again. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckle tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
Some exciting news for the U.S. and more controversy as the Winter Olympics continues in Beijing. Our Global City reporter Draco Guan is here with the latest.
Global City tonight shines a spotlight on Beijing, and U.S. figure skater Nathan Chen just set a world record at the Winter Games. Chen's performance in the short program pulled no punches, scoring 113.97. The 22-year-old celebrated by pumping his fist into the air. Chen made a history in a historic venue too. Beijing's Capitol Indoor Stadium was the site of the 1971 ping pong diplomacy matches between the U.S. and China, and that's 50 years ago. And speaking of the diplomacy, the Winter Olympic is attracting a lot of attention and criticism. The U.S. is staging a diplomatic boycott of Beijing over China's alleged human rights abuses. And I spoke with the two professors to get their takes on the issue.
I think the United States political boycott is meaningless and in fact stupid. I don't think it's going to amount, well, I know it's amounting to nothing. The focus at an Olympics should be on the athletes and on the aspirational ideals of the Olympics.
I think it is fair for countries to use major world events like the Olympics as opportunities to make statements of their values. The decision to host an Olympics is deeply political in nature, and that therefore a country who gets into that game is open to critique.
Disagree over each other on the boycott issue, but both professors say Olympic is really about coming together as people and finding our common ground.
Interested in joining a club on campus? Now is your chance. The Spring Involvement Fair is happening this week in person on Truesdale. Club meetings may be already underway, but it's not too late to sign up since the remote start delayed the semester's Involvement Fair. Here's what one student has to say about this year's Involvement Fair and the clubs you can join.
There are just so many opportunities that you don't get exposed to if you're just kind of like online looking for clubs. I also think it's really interesting how there are clubs that touch on so many different cultures. For example, there's like an investment club, but it's focused on investing in Israel. So I think that's pretty cool. I definitely think that it would be better if it was right at the beginning of the semester, because then you're actually like getting into it early enough. But it's not too late. See what happens. There's a lot of fun stuff, but yeah.
The Involvement Fair continues tomorrow and Thursday from 11 to 2 on Truesdale. And we're going to toss the weather. It is a beautiful sunny day in Los Angeles. Let's go to weather.
Thanks a lot, Jacob. Well, look at that view. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Eric Hume. Enjoy your weather anchor. So let's go ahead and take a look at the current conditions today, mostly. We can see some clear skies. It's around in the 70s. The humidity's down. It's really bone dry. And you can also see we're going to have seasonably cool temperatures to end the day today, but watch out. If we move on to the 5-day forecast, we will see that we have an excessive heat watch in Southern California from Wednesday all the way to Sunday. We're in the mid 80s and the high 80s and mid 50s this week, and tomorrow actually we're going to see a high of 87 and a low of 54. It's unusually warm this February, around 10 to 20 degrees above average. It's close to 90 degrees, so global warming, I'll give you that. It's a big deal. So drink plenty of water, wear your sunscreen, take frequent breaks. It's pretty much everywhere. It's going to be hot. And I don't need a jacket. Also, okay, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the campus. We're seeing tons of sunshine at USC. See fellow students living their lives at the Tudor Campus Center. We're going to go to Alumni Park as well in McCarthy Quad. But this time tomorrow, remember, once again, we'll be sweating buckets because the temperatures are a lot higher than normal. So if you're going to go to the big game as well, the Super Bowl this weekend, be well and safe. They're playing in the extreme heat. Live from Annenberg Media, I'm Eric Choi. Over to sports.
Yeah, Eric, you mentioned the Super Bowl, and I think that sunshine has to do with what I'm about to tell you because the Cincinnati Bengals have touched down in LA. We'll hear from quarterback Joe Burrow. Men's basketball prepares for the crosstown showdown with a game against UCLA. And women's lacrosse has its first game of the season, all coming up on sports.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Happy Tuesday, and welcome to ATVN Sports. I'm Hayes Flanagan.
And I'm Noah Camrus. It's Super Bowl week in LA for the first time since 1993, and this time the home fans have something to cheer about. When the LA Rams meet the Cincinnati Bengals at SoFi Stadium, they could become the second straight team to win a Super Bowl in their home stadium. This morning, the Bengals hopped off the plane at LAX with the dream of a Super Bowl win. They arrived 2 days earlier than expected to get away from the Ohio winter weather and into the beautiful LA sunshine. They'll be practicing at UCLA's Drake Stadium and will be staying at a nearby Westwood hotel. It's the second day of Super Bowl media week, and the focus has all been on the quarterbacks. Despite a 9-year age gap between them, Matthew Stafford of the Rams and Joe Burrow of the Bengals have a lot of similarities. Both signal callers were drafted first overall out of the SEC. Stafford won the NFL's Comeback Player of the Year award in 2011, while Joe Burrow is looking to win that award this Saturday, coming off a torn ACL that ended his rookie season. Both quarterbacks won their first career playoff games this year and are gearing up for their first Super Bowl appearances.
As far as pressure goes, I mean, we say it around here all the time. Pressure is a privilege. You know, that means, something is expected of you, and we expect that of ourselves anyways.
I think as a quarterback, it's really important to exude that confidence, not only in yourself, but in all of your teammates. And I think, the quarterback sets the tone for the culture in the locker room.
So Hayes, there's obviously a ton of similarities between the two quarterbacks, but at the same time, Stafford has 13 seasons under his belt, and Burrow's playing in his first full one. So with all that being said, who do you think has the edge this Sunday?
I think you just said it yourself. Stafford has 13 years on him in the NFL, and Burrow is only 2. He's a rookie. And Stafford has a stacked team with Sony Michel at running back and Cooper Kupp at wide receiver. There's no telling what these Rams could do to the Bengals. I also think that the geniusness of Sean McVay is going to shine through, and Stafford will pull out with the win on Sunday.
Yeah, Hayes, it's definitely a good point, but I do want to talk a little about Joe Burrow, because he's a proven winner. He's done it at every level. In high school, Joe Burrow did not lose a league game in his last 2 years. He won 3 sectional titles and he won 3 league titles. Then you go to college. He didn't work out at Ohio State. He went to LSU. All he did there was go 15-0 for that 2019 national championship team in a huge season, probably one of the best of all time for a college football team. And now in the NFL, he came in, they went 2-14 before he comes. He tears his ACL last year, but now in his second season, he wins a tough AFC North. And now he finds himself 1 game away from a Super Bowl for Cincinnati. It would be their first ever. So it's tough to count him out. Now let us know what's going on with men's basketball, Hayes.
Men's basketball is preparing to bounce back after a loss to top-ranked Arizona. Right now, the Trojans' record sits at 19-4 in the Pac-12, losing only in conference play. Looking ahead to this weekend, USC is taking on our crosstown rivals for the first time this season at the Galen Center.
The Trojans are hoping to beat UCLA for the 5th time in a row. A win against UCLA would be just the ticket as the Trojans set their sights on March Madness. Noah, how do you see this game playing out for the Trojans?
Yeah, it's a tough one, Hayes, because these are two really good teams, and like you said, USC has won the last 4 games. But here's the problem. 2 of those games USC won on basically buzzer beater game-winning threes, close to the buzzer, or if not 1 or 2 seconds left. And this year, USC's big issue is the lack of a go-to scorer clutch shooter. On Saturday against Arizona, USC had a 60-54 lead with 6.5 minutes to go. After that, Arizona went on an 18-3 run where USC shot 1 of 14, and USC's best players, Boogie Ellis went 1 for 4, Isaiah Mobley went 0 for 3, and Drew Peterson went 0 for 4. So if you can't have someone to score at the end of this game, which should be a close one, I think it's going to be tough. What about you?
I think USC pulls out on this one. They shoot very well at home. They take that crowd momentum and they use it to their advantage. I also think the Arizona game showed that USC can play with the top dogs. Arizona is now in the top 5, and it shows that USC can hang in there with them. So I think honestly that USC is going to pull this one out at Galen Center. Now to women's lacrosse. The women's lacrosse team kicks off their season this Saturday, taking on San Diego State at Sony McAllister Field. The Trojans are led by graduate student midfielder Kelsey Huff. Huff leads the team in scoring with 118 goals in her career. She also plays for Team USA. Well, that wraps it up for sports. Just ahead, one USC sophomore is fighting on tonight at Jeopardy's National College Championship. And who are the big nominees at the Oscars this year? We take a look at who is slated to win on Hollywood's biggest night.
Lávate las manos por 20 segundos como Elmo.
Hay algo especial acerca de este lugar. Se siente como un hogar, una sala debajo del cielo y los árboles. Rodeado de aire fresco y la naturaleza. Todo aquí para que lo disfrutemos y para que lo cuidemos. Tenemos la responsabilidad de cuidar de esta tierra que llamamos casa, de preservarla para las generaciones que vienen. Cada acción pequeña contribuye para un cambio mayor y cada uno de nosotros podemos hacer la diferencia. Hay algo especial acerca de este bosque. Es un lugar donde se hacen recuerdos y juntos podemos preservarla y protegerla.
America's top undergraduate students face off tonight for the first episode of Jeopardy National College Championship. Episode 1 will air tonight at 7. USC's own Sarah Salisbury will be a contestant on episode 4, airing on Friday. Salisbury is in the running prize for a grand prize of $2,500. The sophomore from La Mesa, California, is competing against 35 other students from around the country.
I didn't actually study all that much. Most of my preparation was just having played all the time growing up. I was on my high school quiz bowl team, and I just honestly, like 90% of the reason that I think I got on is just because I read so much. It was definitely a really cool experience, and it's been a cool experience now that it's like out in the world, because everyone who is on the show is now in a group chat, so we're still in contact.
Sarah is not the only Trojan who has been on Jeopardy! Thomas Zamora competed in 2001, Sam Deutsch competed in 2016, and Soku Ying competed in 2020.
Tonight we know the 2022 Academy Award nominees. A few films sweeping across the board.
I wonder what little lady made these.
The Power of Dog earned more Academy Award nominations than any other film this year, including Best Director for Jane Campion. She is the first woman to be nominated for the Best Director twice. Steven Spielberg set another record with West Side Story this year. He is now the only person in history to receive 11 nominations in the Best Picture category. And Denzel Washington is continuing his record as the most nominated Black actor in Academy Award history. But SEA students think there is still a lack of diversity among the nominees.
I want to be able to get to a point where we recognize it and it's not, and it still is important, but it's not overemphasized and overused.
I think the Oscars could use with a little bit more diversity, not necessarily in like racial diversity or gender diversity, but just like the movies that they're nominating.
I believe that the stories will be so profound that it will be no debate or discussion about them achieving the goal of reaching the Oscars.
The Power of Dog leads the pack with 12 nominations. In addition to Best Director, the film is also up for 4 acting nods. Dune follows closely behind with 10 nominations. Belfast and West Side Story, 2 critic favorites, are each up for 7 awards.
I think it's a really good message to people to like keep going, especially because we have been through 2 years of hell, to, you know, keep going and make things happen. I think it's just such a cool story. And on top of it, I really think that the media needs to kind of relish in this success.
The Oscars will air live on ABC on March 27th. So Jacob, are you watching the Super Bowl or the Oscars? I know they're on the same day, so there's some tension there.
You know, Tatum, I am more of a football fan than an entertainment fan, but I really like that story because representation in media, as we all know, is so important. And fun fact about me, Denzel Washington is actually one of my favorite actors, so I might have to tune in. But I also want to touch on another topic. Today is our first live television show for Annenberg TV News, and you know, we're here dressed up, looking good, and I want to give Tatum all the credit because I have to admit she did pick out what makeup I wore today.
You know what, Jacob? It's only minor touch-ups to a masterpiece. You are the belle of the ball today. You look amazing.
Well, you as well, and thank you very much. And I'm so excited to be here with you, and I'm looking forward to many more shows in the future. Thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. From everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Jacob Wheeler.
And I'm Tatum Larson. For more coverage, please watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Annenberg Media. Good night.